You need to get a score. If you lose by 3 scores, who cares? But you need to at least give your players a shot. If they're going to fight for 58 minutes, when most people would have given them a 0.1% chance or 0.9% chance from the get-go, and they fought all that way, you deserve to say, hey, we got to hurry this up. Hey, we have to call a play to at least take a shot. You get sacked, you take a safety, whatever. Then even you're still down 2 scores as it is. It doesn't matter. But you at least need to make the push. If you're going to put in all those hundreds of hours of studying and practicing and preparing, and all the demands that are put on these players this late in the season, everyone's banged up, to give them a shot to win instead of lollygagging in those last couple of minutes. All right, you know what time it is? Late Monday night. I am sitting alone in my office, and we have a Patriots game to break down. Because that's what we do here in the Pats Interference Podcast, brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. In this last game, man, we had 35 minutes of pretty good football. Back and forth, greatest coach of all time, best quarterback on the planet. Chiefs, Pats, yeah, sure, it ended up where we all thought it might, including Vegas, though Vegas had some doubts. 27-17, point spread started at 10.5, dropped down to 8, ended, I don't know, no one cares at this point. But Patriots lose decisively to the Chiefs. As I wrote after this game, this loss should dispel any notion that the Patriots are heading towards anything other than a deep and necessary rebuild. That Pittsburgh game, only 21-18, but inspired some folks to imagine maybe a 5-game winning streak. Okay, let's be nice. Maybe a 4-game winning streak or winning 4 out of 5. And the Patriots ride this momentum into the new year, and Belichick stays, and the roster's not that bad, and yada, yada, yada. It's not going to happen, okay? This was a manhandling by the Chiefs in at least 2 phases, their defense and their special teams. And the Patriots defense, to their credit, only held Patrick Mahomes to 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, got a little lucky in a couple picks, but had the turnovers nonetheless. And they were happy to tell you about it. Multiple defenders saying, I thought we did pretty good today. Something you would never hear earlier in the season or prior years when it's, well, we allowed 27 points and we have to do better than that. Because you know what, folks? They know who they are and what this team is and what the future holds, which is, as I said, a complete rebuild. So you know what? If you felt you had a good day at the office, no reason to give voice to it because this result has been the same one that they've endured basically all season. Now, what we are going to do here today is talk about not so much the rebuild, and honestly not a whole lot of Belichick future talk, though I will get to that in a second because we've had a new report since I last addressed what is to come or might not come for Bill Belichick. We're going to do the good, the bad. We need to talk. It is after a loss. What would NFL film say? And then a long mailbag. Every single question that got asked of me on Twitter, at least those that I saw, I think we hit 12, 13. You will get an answer today. But overall, hoping for a shorter episode. Of course, I say that, and we'll see how this goes. Now, on Belichick, it wasn't our last episode that I spoke about this. That was 5 Patriots What Ifs with Brian Barrett. A lot of fun. Give it a listen if you have a minute. A lot of it still holds up. It was the episode before when I was here, sitting in my office by myself, talking to no one except for you. And what we discussed was Tommy Kern's report that the Krafts had decided after the Patriots lost in Germany, they would part ways with Bill Belichick. Now, I told you why I believed the report and why I thought you should believe the report. And this has nothing, 0.0 Animal House style, to do with the fact that I feel any kind of way about whether Bill Belichick should keep his job or not on a personal level. I will tell you, because that's what this podcast is about, what I think the Patriots should do in their best interest. But this is not me, aggrieved reporter upset that Bill won't answer my questions. Look, I've got a lot more problems, bigger things to worry about than how Belichick acts at the podium, which has no way surprised anyone basically since he got hired, let alone someone who talks to him multiple times on a weekly basis, okay? He keeps his job, great. If not, I'm going to learn and tell you a lot about the new one. Now, that being said, Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network on Saturday reported the contrary to what Tommy Kern said that we discussed, and I told you I would believe because I also believe my eyeballs the last 5 years, the last 4 years, Belichick will have a sub-500 record. He will have 0 playoff wins and 1 playoff appearance. Typically bad news for an NFL head coach. But Ian Rappaport said, over these upcoming 5 games, you know what? Bill Belichick might be able to keep his job because no firm conclusion, and those are quotes, has been reached by the Krafts. And so, hey, they get positive momentum. They start to feel better. maybe this thing turns around. Well, step one in that 5-step plan to saving his job and finishing 7-10 has gone backwards because the Patriots obviously lost. Now, I would just say, for the reasons I just outlined, I don't believe the reasoning there. And I don't believe that folks like the Krafts, who have run good businesses and have watched a lot of football and been around a lot of successful football, would find any kind of results here, starting with the Kansas City game, meaningful in a way that would change what I just said. Okay? They're going on now 5 years without a playoff win. 1 playoff appearance in the last 4. A sub-500 record over that stretch. Michael Hurley, if you don't want to believe me, of CBS Boston, WBZ, excuse me. Sorry, Mike. Outlined this in a way that's almost inarguable. Okay, the only exception to this rule of going 4 years without a playoff win is Mike Tomlin, who only happens to work for the franchise with the greatest patience in professional sports because they've had 3 head coaches in about a century. So if there was going to be another exception, absolutely, it would probably be Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time. But it seems flimsy to me to think that the Krafts haven't decided because these 5 games with Bailey Zappi at quarterback, your best player is injured, are really going to mean something when the Patriots have been eliminated from the playoffs. I think it's at least 2 weeks now. Okay, these are meaningless games to greater ends. Now, if you want to tell me that they have not decided for other reasons, his contract, or they still believe in him, sure, I'd buy that. But I'm going to present that report to you as I just did with, of course, my commentary. That's what the podcast is for, because it ran contrary to something we talked about last time. We have a new report. We're going to talk about it. And honestly, if you're fatigued by all of this, I totally get it, because I am too. That's where we're ending the segment right here. Okay, on to the game. So the Chiefs win 27-17, but they found themselves in a 3-point hole late in the first half. Why did they do that? Well, the good Hunter Henry, have yourself a game, sir, in addition to, God, a lot of punishment. 7 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. Patriots offense opens over their first 4 drives with an 81% pass rate. That, folks, is insane. A 4-to-1 pass-to-run ratio. Bill O'Brien, a madman for that. But it worked, because the last pass on the 4th drive was Hunter Henry's 16-yard touchdown pass, a play-action fake on 4th and 2 that gave them the jolt, the energy, the proof of concept necessary for this offense to keep going, especially against a top 10 defense like the Chiefs. Now, why did they go so pass-heavy? Well, they understood the Chiefs are going to do what the Chiefs are going to do, which is blitz a lot, and against bad quarterbacks, load the box. And that's what they did. And what Bill O'Brien did to counter that, this again, part of the good, was to give Bailey Zappi outlets, and he mixed them up. The most common outlets were pick routes into the flat, so you have a tight end leaking out in the flat, or a running back, like we talked about Zeke Elliott's touchdown against Pittsburgh, and then an in-cut coming from the receiver, or if it's the tight end, he might block, pick, in quotes, the defender covering the running back. Either way, some friction in a flat route, or a shallow cross over the middle, like we saw with Demario Douglas, who picked up 16 yards before that face mask call at the end of the second drive. Devontae Parker also had a catch on a drag route. And Demario Douglas had a slant, which he took a little bit too far at the end of the first drive, but you get the point. Easy access and easy outlets for Bailey Zappi versus pressure, understanding he's going to get man coverage, he's going to get a blitz, and he's going to face that pressure. And under pressure, Bailey Zappi, very good. To start, he had 9-yard completion, 3-yard completion, 16-yard completion. We just talked about that. Sack, incompletion, 19 yards, 6 yards, and a sack. That was him for the first half. We'll get to the second half. Boy, we're going to get to second half Bailey Zappi. Against the blitz, incompletion, 20-yarder. Wasn't under pressure. It was good protection. 3 yards, 16 yards, a penalty on Demario Douglas. Incompletion, sack, 15 yards, and a 19-yarder. So Bill O'Brien, in addition to the pick routes in the flat and the shallow crosses and slants over the middle, gave Bailey Zappi these max protection, so 7 blockers, deep play action shots. They didn't hit many of them, but he did find Devontae Parker on that 19-yarder that really sprung them. Again, proof of concept. You want to call momentum? Fine. I don't. But this was a good plan early. It was pass heavy. It prevented the Patriots from running into loaded boxes, which Zeke Elliott did on the first play from scrimmage, and it was a 2-yard loss. Aside from that, defensively, Christian Barmore still having a day. He's not even having a day. It's a month. It's 2 months. A sack, The hurry that led to Patrick Mahomes' first interception for Marte Mapu, 2 run stuffs, including one in the last 5 minutes, which goes in your tape as like, hey, what's your attitude? And this is a big part of, I don't say a big part, I can't speak for every single scout, but scouts that I've talked to will say, I want to see this guy's tape and blowouts. What's your effort level? What's your attitude? What's your give a shit level? And again, 10 points in the last 5 minutes is not down by 30, okay, on the road to like Tulsa. But Christian Barmore got that second run stuff, just powering through Creed Humphrey, one of the best centers in the NFL. That's a guy who gives a shit. That's a guy who can wreck a game and has been the Patriots' best defender, I'll just say it, for however long this day has been, or whatever I just said. 2 months. 2 months, easily, for Christian Barmore. Josh Uche, not in the conversation for Patriots' best defender over the last 2 months, but welcome back, Josh. 3 hurries, according to my charting. These were not, I would say, high-quality hurries, some longer developing plays, but he affected Patrick Mahomes in a way that counts, and in a way that added up to more pressures for him than any other defender on the roster. Next, the bad. Okay, talking about pressure, offensive line. They allowed a 42.3% pressure rate. Again, it was a high blitz game from Kansas City. A lot of pressure, simulated pressure. But the other part about this offensive line that was missing Trent Brown and then lost Cole Strange was they didn't pick up a single first down rushing if you exclude Kevin Harris's 18-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter, which I didn't know this, embarrassingly, till maybe a couple of years ago. The touchdowns also count as first downs when you're – it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But if you remove that touchdown, again, 0 first downs for one of the most efficient rushing offenses in the league, got nada, zip, 0 against the Chiefs. And so between the pressure rate or – that lack of success, just staying on schedule, running the ball, it's a bad day for an offensive line. 2 makes for a terrible day. Alex Austin. So he's a 7th-round rookie. Oregon State, bounced around the league already, got cut from the Texans practice squad last month, and the Patriots said, well, come on in. We got a spot for you on our 53-man roster. And Alex Austin was a healthy scratch to start, and then he was a starter on Sunday. That was partly because, or I would imagine entirely because, J.C. Jackson was unavailable for what has since been reported as mental health reasons. We wish the best to J.C. I think he deserves your empathy. He certainly has mine, and whatever might be going on, he has his teammates' support, and we will leave it at that for what's been a difficult time for a player, who's had a difficult season. Now, when Alex Austin went in there, again, that's a tough spot. Again, late-round rookie, not a great pedigree coming out of Oregon State, bounced around. Here he is. Well, he still had 2 penalties, including one that eliminated a takeaway, a fumble in the third quarter. And then he gave it the most catches out of any Patriots defender. So there's the context. Those are the results. He still ends up in the bad category. Kyle Duggar. His failures were a little less obvious. I haven't talked about this yet, but you deserve to know that the longest pass plays of the entire game, neither of them went to Travis Kelce. Again, Travis Kelce had 5 catches for 28 yards, but he was absolutely part of the reason that the Chiefs got a 48-yard screen to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in a 32-yard catch to Noah Gray on the first play from scrimmage. And we'll come back to that. But in the meantime, that screen for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kyle Duggar flew into the backfield like he had never seen a screen in his life. He also missed a tackle. He gave up some catches. This was not good tape from Kyle Duggar, a guy who we thought before the season, not only in the conversation for top 3 player in the Patriots defense, but top 5 on the roster, maybe the best player in this defense, contract year, all that stuff lining up. Hasn't happened. This was bad tape from him. Jonathan Jones, again, just tough day for the secondary. I mean, part of that's facing Patrick Mahomes. Right? Like we got to give credit to Mahomes, who played an outstanding game, probably one of the best games you'll see for a guy who finishes with 2 picks. But Jonathan Jones was in coverage on the aforementioned 32-yarder to Noah Gray. First play from scrimmage. Should have dropped back deep. They were in cover 3 buzz. He had the deep third. Noah Gray got behind him, and that was that. He also gave up a 31-yarder to Justin Watson on a 3rd down, where, again, just grade A, organic, grass-fed Mahomes magic. That's not Jonathan Jones' fault. But when you're in coverage on the 2 longest plays of the game, not great. Now, we need to talk. This goes to coaching. Let me start here. And this is more of a compliment to Andy Reid than it is a knock on Bill Belichick or Bill O'Brien, who, again, we'll get to in a minute. But I mentioned the catches. 32 yards to Noah Gray, 48 yards screen. Andy Reid understood, and these happened on the first 2 drives for Kansas City, that the number one bullet point on the Patriots' defensive game plan was to eliminate Travis Kelce. Makes sense. Guys are going to the Hall of Fame. He's an All-Pro. He's Patrick Mahomes' favorite target, the leading receiver, all that stuff. So on that first play, as Noah Gray is running a corner route, flag route, 7 route, whatever you want to call it, upfield, 45-degree angle towards the nearest sideline, Travis Kelce, aligned right next to him, just goes into the flat. So you have one short route, one deeper route. It's a high-low concept, very basic. And he knew, meaning Andy Reid, that Travis Kelce was going to get extra attention. And he did in that flat, taking Kyle Duggar and Jonathan Jones with him. So that opened up the 32-yarder behind Travis Kelce. Later, second drive, Travis Kelce is aligned with Noah Gray again on the right side of the line of scrimmage. And after the snap, Travis Kelce makes a sift block where it was actually a fake block, but he runs behind the line of scrimmage like he's going to block the defender on the left side of the line of scrimmage, who goes from the right to the left after the ball is snapped, behind like he's going to block. Meanwhile, the receiver runs an orbit motion, which is basically a half circle. You've seen him take off, kind of go behind the quarterback, loop around the backfield, and go in the opposite direction. Sometimes they get the ball. Usually it's just a fake. Well, in this case, it was a fake who, with Kelce, drew all of the attention from the Patriots side. Again, the right of the Chiefs offense over to the left. And that left Clyde Edwards-Helaire leaking out towards the right, wide open, acres of space. And partly it was because Kyle Duggar triggered way too quickly. But that's Andy Reid leveraging his best player as a decoy, knowing Bill Belichick. Knowing, as Belichick often does his opponents, not even just from they like to play cover 1 on 3rd down, or they go Tampa 2 and disguise it as like 3, whatever. That's how he is. And granted, it's not a secret how Bill Belichick likes to game plan defensively, but Andy Reid knows him for decades. And what else he did was had answers for when the Patriots wanted to bring pressure most. And their blitz rate against the Chiefs, 15%. I think it was the lowest of the season. I haven't gone back, but it's definitely bottom 3. He had answers knowing that the Patriots defense is currently constructed, even without Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez, is still best suited to defend 3rd and longs because of the coverage design, the creativity, their ability to bring simulated pressures, and play people in different spots in the secondary. That's where the Patriots want to get you to, because that's how they want to play. And the way to get you to to get you to 3rd and long is to win on 2nd and medium, put you behind the chains, get you off schedule. So the Patriots brought virtually all of their pressure, not on 3rd down, to get the ball out of Mahomes' hands. They did it on 2nd and medium. And so Andy Reid knew that. And just like Bailey Zappi got these pick route throws into the flat, or shallow in cuts over the middle, or max protect play action shots from Bill O'Brien, Andy Reid gave Patrick Mahomes plenty of outs on 2nd and medium when he knew the pressure was coming. One of the best examples was a catch from Travis Kelce when, I think for 11 yards, converted 2nd and 9 in the 4th quarter with less than 6 minutes. I'm going to look this up. But the point being that it wasn't just scheming those big plays and then, the single wing. Dusted off, brought back from the dead. Okay, the single wing is a formation that's older than any of you listening, and at least older than 2 of you listening combined, all right? Certainly way older than me, despite my haircut. All right, so here it is, 11 yards. Travis Kelce, 2nd and 9, 5:47 left on the clock. Patriots bring a simulated pressure. It's a read blitz, basically. 6 guys go. The 2 that see the center turn towards their side or a guard back out, because that means with the center or guard turning towards them, there's space to the opposite side. And that's where the other rushers, as part of this 6-man group, go in, you drop out, and that's how the defense works. With being a blitz, it's not really technically a blitz by counting who's coming at the quarterback. 2nd and 9, Patrick Mahomes gets that out. It's another pick route into the flat. Miles Bryant gets picked up. Not his fault. There was a blocker there. Kelce goes 11 yards. They get to run off more clock. Now, I said that was more of a compliment for the Chiefs. Teams get out-coached. It's even happened to Bill Belichick. The times that it has, we've documented. What we need to talk about is Bill Belichick coaching in a way that virtually eliminated any chance for a comeback. And you might look, as ESPN did, at 4 minutes left, Patriots down 10, at their 1-yard line, and say, well, they don't have a chance. ESPN gave them 0.9%, sub 1%, 0.9%. And their win probability stuff, as you look at the evolving graph on ESPN.com, it gets a little aggressive for my taste. But in the next minute and a half, From the 4-minute mark down to 2:24 of the fourth quarter, the Patriots ran two plays. How does that happen? Well, I asked Belichick about it after the game. Someone would have if it wasn't me. And his answer was basically, yeah, we probably could have gone a little bit faster. Ezekiel Elliott thought so because he said so in the locker room. And I don't care if you take a safety. I don't care if you throw a pick six. I don't care if there's just a forever low light to be run in every NFL stadium for the rest of the time in a commercial break that everyone points and laughs at because you're already down 10. You need to get a score. If you lose by 3 scores, who cares? But you need to at least give your players a shot. If they're going to fight for 58 minutes, when most people would have given them a 0.1% chance or 0.9% chance from the get-go, and they fought all that way, you deserve to say, hey, we got to hurry this up. Hey, we have to call a play to at least take a shot. You get sacked, you take a safety, whatever. Then even you're still down 2 scores as it is. It doesn't matter. But you at least need to make the push. If you're going to put in all those hundreds of hours of studying and practicing and preparing, and all the demands that are put on these players this late in the season, everyone's banged up, to give them a shot to win instead of lollygagging in those last couple of minutes. You think I'm mad? I mean, just imagine being on that offense. Imagine huddling and all that time and just winding clock so the margin doesn't look as bad for the Patriots who have already accepted defeat. And again, I get it. And I know it's in the Patriots' best interest to lose. But that was inexcusable game management. You want to talk about we need to talk? That is what we need to talk about. And forget me. Forget this little podcast. How about anyone else on staff? How about anyone else in the locker room going, yeah, I might have screwed up a play. That was probably a bad play call. What the hell was this? 4 minutes down to 2:24, and we only run 2 plays. It's not good enough. Okay, so we've all seen the Patriots struggle to score this season. That has been no secret. But I have something new for you. And that is the fact that you at home, or walking the dog, or at the gym, or grocery shopping, you yourself can score this season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets. That's $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. Again, $150 if you pick a team and that team wins. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, you've heard me talk about them a lot. There is no better time than right now to get in on the action because the app is super easy to use. And if you don't like picking straight up winners, you could go with point spreads or player props, over unders, and tons more. Just visit FanDuel.com/Boston and open up the NFL season on your terms with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. All right, what would NFL Film say if they needed to talk? Major hype for this game, right? Patriots feel good. You've just watched this little snippet in this fictitious hour-long documentary about the Patriots' ongoing season, where after the Chargers game, I said cameramen are quitting, voiceover guys are walking out. Patriots are excited after that Pittsburgh win. We get major hype for Bill Belichick versus Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. They really go into the archives, pull out a clip, from the AFC Championship game in January 2019, battle since then, how close it's been. And then you fast forward. Okay, we probably get Taylor Swift once, twice, 3 times. Chief strike first. Okay, single wing, Andy Reid, pulling an old play and football historian Bill Belichick. But the Patriots, with all their guts, come back. This is NFL Film speaking, obviously. 4th down touchdown from Zappe to Henry. Their connection re-sparked from the Pittsburgh win, and that immediately translates on defense, where that energy, that jolt, leads to an interception on the very next play from scrimmage. Marte Mapu ripping it away, momentum building. You see the stadium jumping. And they'll probably show the holding penalty that brought back a touchdown because, again, this is a documentary about the Patriots. It's supposed to make you feel good in what's been a largely terrible season. And so they force them to kick a field goal due to this penalty that's shown. And then the second half comes. It's going to start with the Zappe interception. And then you see Mahomes get the touchdown and it slowly fades or fast forwards and we get to the end. It's 27-17. We skip what I just talked about. There's at least one Taylor Swift pun, though, right? One lyric, one mention, something. And that's what NFL Film say about this. Okay, on to the mailbag. What you really want to know, this is from everyone on Twitter. Hit me up at _Andrew Callahan if you have any questions. We will get them in, not next episode, but Monday after this. So Mailbag, Brett opens 3 open spots on the practice squad, a special teams unit that stinks, and a lot of holes for the future. Any depth or future potential developmental guys out there to be had? First of all, Brett, I think you might be the only person on planet Earth who wants the Patriots to acquire more special teamers. Though I understand the reasoning. They've been bottom 5 by DVOA basically since week 2. Look, they signed Matthew Wright, a veteran journeyman kicker, to the practice squad a couple of weeks ago. He might be back, given Chad Ryland missed badly on his first field goal attempt against the Chiefs. Aside from that, there's not much more you can do. I mean, they just signed Christian Ellis, who was waived by the Eagles last week, and he made a tackle, one of 2 special teams tackles, along with Chris Board, who they gave a lot of guaranteed money to, and then actually committed the penalty Brendan Schooler was whistled for on the kickoff. So I think pouring any more resources, into special teams would be roster mismanagement. The fact that it's not yielded investment obviously you would think, hey, you got to turn it around, but it's just you're stealing from an offense that needs more help than the special teams does. As bad as it is, like, you're not losing game because of the special teams. You're doing it because your offense just can't score enough points. So I would say probably not. Ashley, hi, Andrew. The last 2 games, Zappy has looked good in the first half, but really bad in the second. What do you think is happening? Happy holidays, by the way. Happy holidays to you, Ashley. So we hit on this earlier. Bailey Zappi had a lot of easy access throws. The deeper ones were max protected. That's going to help. His play under pressure was also really strong. And that's something that I've tried to explain, but probably not well enough, is not very sticky, meaning it's not predictive game to game or half to half. Okay, it's very rare you get a player like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen very consistently solid under pressure. And so what we've seen from Bailey Zappi is that he can hang in there for a little bit. And this is not to say he's got any kind of shortcoming mentally or with his bravery. It's just to say that when you have a bad quarterback, enough pressure is going to get to you and you're going to make a bad mistake. And so in the first half under pressure, again, his completion percentage was over 50. His average yards per attempt was over 8. His passer rating in the whole first half, to your point, larger point that you care about, it was 118. Then that sunk to 8 in the second half, like his play under pressure, which these were those passes: interception, sack, incompletion, 7-yard completion, 11-yard completion, incompletion, incompletion. And so as Bailey Zappi went 4 of 12, he played more poorly under pressure. He had those easy access throws taken away. If you remember the throw to Hunter Henry in the right flat, fourth quarter, he catches the ball. He's hurt. He goes to the locker room. In the meantime, they overturn that catch into an incompletion. That was the same concept they've been running in the first half. So you're seeing teams like Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago, and now the Chiefs, start to drive on these plays, understanding there's no downfield threat. Okay, where are they trying to attack us? They see the same thing and boom, go. So he's not able to overcome his own shortcomings, defensive adjustments, and just the fact that backup quarterbacks like him are going to be inconsistent. So there is a stark line difference here, but there's not like a big magical explanation. It's just he's benefited from a couple good opening scripts. He's been cooler under pressure in the first half than the second half of games, and that's going to happen. And opposing defenses are smart. In the last couple of weeks, they backed off that pressure in early downs and benefited from that adjustment. Okay. The other thing about this too, just really quickly, 19-yarder he had in the first half was a throw to Devontae Parker. He's kind of bailed, flushed out of the pocket, right, just chucks it up. That's an example of play under pressure that goes down as a completion. Like in my notes, I just rattled that off to you. It's a 19-yard completion. That's a 50-50 ball, kind of like Juju's, where you don't give all the credit to the quarterback. Like he probably didn't earn that, and that's why it's not so sticky or predictive. And so he's been living on the edge. This is the best way to put it. This is the shortest way I should have put it. The last 2 weeks under pressure. And you've seen, that coin come up heads or whatever he wants it to in the first half, okay, where it's 50-50, and then fall the other way and be tails in the second, where he loses, and obviously so does the offense. Okay. Jules, quote, do you think it's possible that Bill has a termination option in his contract to make him a free agent that he can exercise at the end of the season? I have no reason to think this, Jules. I have spoken to a couple agents who have thrown this out to me that, hey, are you sure, Callahan, that he doesn't have a no-trade clause? To which I say, I do not. because that contract is as closely guarded as a secret as you will find in the league, maybe in pro sports. And so the thing about the termination clause is, though, I don't believe it, because I think it behooves him to have that contract run longer in the event that he does get fired or makes it messy enough where the Crafts have to fire him. And I'm not just talking with the losing. I'm talking, hey, we want to trade you. He has the clause that I mentioned. If he does, I don't know. And then stops that trade and then gets to cash out all the money that he would have been owed had he put the contract on. Like, it would behoove him to say, yeah, give me a 10-year contract, because that's an extra, by the rate that's been reported, $250 million or something, because then he would get that, whether he's traded or fired. And so I don't think there's a termination option. As much as he may want his freedom, you can get both if you just kind of play it the right way. And I think he would be confident in his way to do that without having to hit the eject button. He would rather say, yeah, tack on as much money as you can. I'll get that. And then still find a way to get my way, whether that's staying, which I think he wants to do, or obviously leave, like we just talked about. Kenny V, quote, based on how much his name has been swirling around with the local/national media connecting him to the Patriots, how realistic do you think it is that Adam Peters could be the next GM in New England? Seems like it's slim to none, since San Francisco will probably promote him to GM. So Adam Peters, assistant GM in San Francisco under John Lynch, obviously works closely with Kyle Shanahan, who has a big say in personnel. Peters has been in front offices for over 20 years. I talked about him with Jeff Howe on an episode, this was at least 6 weeks ago. So go back and listen to that. Jeff had tremendous information as a guy who covers the league at large about front office types, including Adam and other names you want to know. If you're thinking about who's the Patriots' next GM going to be, listen to that episode and find him. As far as Adam Peters, he, without knowing anything personal about him, but just the way we discuss Adam Peters strikes me like Ben Johnson, who you heard me say, like, he's getting paid by the mention on ESPN or podcasts like this, because, like, if I needed to call a plumber, I might just have to call Ben Johnson first, because he's the guy with all of the solutions, and I'm an NFL writer covering a team that might need a head coach, and you just have to bring up Ben Johnson. We're contractually obligated. Adam Peters has become popular in a way, for good reason, that I just think, as you mentioned, Kenny, it's very slim that he ends up in New England, because he'll understand, or his agent will, that he has a lot of options. And if he doesn't like the situation, he can go back to the Niners, continue to bolster that resume, get more hype and love for the media, which inevitably reaches to ownership circles, and his stock only goes up, because that 49ers team is not going anywhere. And if they win the Super Bowl, good for him. And so he'll have more suitors. He'll have more leverage in any kind of talks. If he doesn't want to live in Foxboro, Massachusetts, he doesn't have to. The other part about this is, I still think Gerard Mayo is the favorite to be the next head coach. And I think that could be, probably will be, as soon as next year. If he doesn't have a relationship with Adam Peters, that's a big roadblock. Not only for him, but I think for Kraft, who obviously is a huge supporter of Gerard Mayo. So that's the other part about this, is Adam Peters will have a lot of options. And yeah, he was here for a cup of coffee. But beyond that, it's just hard to generate much of a case of why he would jump over to the Patriots, even though, of course, they have a ton of cap space and they'll have a lot of flexibility as far as building a roster, granted, without a quarterback. Daniel, quote, it feels like this is now a tank in progress. If that's true, doesn't that mean Bill Belichick is back next year? In my head, I'm expecting Belichick and Mac back next year. Daniel, I do not want to be in your head. Let me tell you, sir. Mac enters a quarterback competition with our first-round pick, and we will be in the exact same position we are now. Tell me I'm wrong. Daniel, you're wrong, damn it. That was strong. Look, they're not tanking. And I don't want to have an extended conversation about this, frankly, because it doesn't deserve one. If you think Bill Belichick, man who will sacrifice anything at the altar of winning, and we have seen this, bending the rules, okay, concocting any kind of schemes, whatever it might be, you think he's going to lose on purpose as he chases Don Shula's all-time wins record, you don't know who you're watching or who you're listening to. And anyone who suggests that Bill Belichick is tanking and gets a locker room full of proud men, including the practice squad, you're talking upwards of 70 players and assistants who are on their ass day in and day out to practice and prepare and to study, it's not going to happen. You can tank in the NBA with smaller rosters or stars who have such an influence in the game. Oh, my ankle hurts, I'll sit this one out. It's not happening in the NFL. And it is not happening with Bill Belichick, proud Bill Belichick at the end, okay? They are trying to win. And yeah, they gave away their chance with 2.5 minutes left, as I just detailed and railed on them about. But big picture, he has nothing to gain from this. He wants his record, he wants more history, and he wants to win because that's all he's known. That's what he loves most. That is why he goes in and starts preparing for Denver this week. And people that I talk to in the building, and you hear this from other reports, say it's really no different. That's what the man knows. That's what the man loves. To do anything else would be, I'm sure, sacrilege to him. Moving on, Jordan, quote, penalties have killed this team all year. They could have won yesterday if it wasn't for penalties in the red zone right before big turnovers. Who is to blame for all of these mistakes? The players are committing the penalties, but at a certain point, you need to look at coaching. Yes, you do. There's an old phrase, this might be a Belichick-ism. Either you're coaching it or you're allowing it to happen, which is to say, either way as a coach, you are responsible for what the players do. And especially at the professional level, I think that's true. Let alone, the Belichick is also the GM, as we all know, so he's in charge of the players that he's put on this team who are committing these penalties. And so, yes, there's a personal responsibility and accountability part of this. And you know what? Patriots have parted ways with players who make mistakes, like Ty Montgomery. His schedule freed up last week in a big way, okay? But when it's this bad, this consistently, especially on special teams, you got to look at Cam Cord, who's been there since 2020. Joe Judge, who just came back into the picture under the assistant head coach title, which is really just super special teams coordinator. So, yeah, at a certain point, you do need to look at coaching. I think we've reached out, and we reached it a long time ago. Speaking of a long time, Lamar says, quote, been a long time Pats fan. It always seems like their internal view differs from how people see them externally. You are correct, sir. Given how the season has gone, do you sense people in the organization are in touch with reality and recognize how far they have to go to return to contention? So, look, it's hard to speak for all of them, right? I mean, it's hundreds of people in that organization, from the locker room to the coaching staff, trainers, support staff, front office, all those different departments that fold into even just football operations. I know some are looking elsewhere. Heck, there was a coach who already left. Ross Douglas is now coaching at Syracuse. There are others who I know are in contract years or coming up on a contract year in 2024. And they're uncertain because Bill Belichick's job status is uncertain. So in that sense, they know this team is no good. You are what your record says you are. They are 3-11. That is bad. But I think they can also separate the offense, which has been poor, does not have a quarterback, has the worst receiving core in the league, from the defense that's largely done its job. I would say it's an above average defense. Like, this is not top 5. This is not top 10. But you're in somewhere in the 11 to 15 range. And the special teams has been dog crap, like bottom 3 all year. Can't kick field goals, can't stop committing penalties. Punting has been a little inconsistent, and their coverage units have been as well. So it depends on who you ask. Do they work on offense? Do they work on defense? Are they on special teams? Like, I think they will have some, what did you say, touch with reality. But overall, there's no one in that building, contrary to what a couple players might say at the podium, that thinks they're a good team that's just been snake bitten. Like, yeah, they've been in a lot of close games. But your point differential also highlights a team that should be 3-11. It's not luck. It's not just injuries. It's the things you're doing actively to hurt yourselves. As we detailed a couple of weeks ago, look, the Steelers are no good. They're on their third quarterback. They're 7-7, but they're 7-7 with a similar schedule, quarterback play, defensive talent, injury luck, and you're 3-11. Steelers are better than you. They're not very good. And I think anyone looking at this objectively, which I get is the point, this is the question, would have to agree. All right, a few more here. Lawrence, Andrew, is there more to these long, good game, basically goodbyes from Bill Belichick than meets the eye? It's usually just a quick handshake. Fair question. We saw one with Travis Kelce, definitely here, Andy Reid. But Belichick's had long goodbyes with players he really respects for a long time. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers just last year. Peyton Manning, plenty of times. There's Eric Mangini. Obviously kidding. And that's just about it. Frank, my question is, why did no one ask Belichick why he even bothered calling timeouts when the Chiefs got the ball back, which he did, after cutting the lead to 10. Then when the Pats got the ball back at their 1, they ran twice and huddled up, virtually giving his team no chance of winning. I think I answered this, Frankie. But if you want to know, I think the situation and the roster talent to them, including Bill O'Brien, by the way, who's calling the plays in that moment, though Belichick can override him and tell him how to manage the game, they were just ready to surrender. And I don't think that's good enough. I don't think it should be good enough for you, but that's what happened. Belichick did think they could have gone a little bit more quickly, but he watched the time tick off. down to 4 seconds before that third down snap. It did nothing. So if he thought it that strongly, he probably should have just called timeout. Dave, quote, do you believe Kraft will conduct a real coaching search? Or is it automatically going to be Mayo? And will that be a waste of time for a few more years? And will he look outside the dying Belichick tree for GM? Yada, yada, yada. Again, my sense is still Mayo is the favorite. Who Mayo works with, is close with, is going to go a long way to determining the offensive coordinator, who it seems will still be Bill O'Brien as far as the GM. That's a question mark. I would not rule out, though, Elliott Wolf, who has been here now going on year 4, given that he came up in Green Bay under his dad, Ron Wolf, legendary GM, then went to Cleveland for a year or two, and has since been in New England. The ability to blend all these systems, ideas, and that's someone who has been close to the top, handled a lot of duties, speaking with agents of other players and things that Matt Groh has not done, even though he's technically higher in the pecking order. But they will conduct a coaching search. If they're settled on Mayo, no, I don't think it'll be real, kind of like the Patriots were set on Bill O'Brien. So I can't guarantee that. I'm sorry. Trav, do you see the Patriots bringing in a kicker this offseason given Ryland's struggles, or is he just making rookie mistakes? No, I mean, rookie mistakes would be, your routine speaking for a kicker is not set in stone. You don't know exactly how you need to prepare, or you're staying out late the night before. Like that's the stuff you're talking about for rookie mistakes, but that's not Ryland. I mean, he is a professional, having spoken to him myself, covered him when he was much younger, speaking to guys in the locker room about him. Like these are just bad misses. 12 of 17 says it all. Excuse me, it might be 12 of 19. But either way, yes, I expect competition for him this offseason. Last one, Gary, ending on a positive note. Quote, what positional grouping has been the most pleasant surprise this season? It's a good question. The answer cannot be, have there been any? No, because I have one. It's defensive tackle. Devon Godchow is playing the best football, I think, of his Patriots tenure. Christian Barmore, we already discussed, been dominant last couple of months. Even Lawrence Guy hanging in there in his mid-30s. Like, this is a good group. Jeremiah Farms Jr. had to hurry against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's something for a guy who has spent his entire career getting cut, staying on the practice squad, getting cut, coming back. It is now on the 53-man roster. Yes, partly out of need, but he's hanging in there now, and credit to him because it wasn't too long ago. He was on the offensive line. He's made the switch, and yeah, I would say the defensive tackle group has been a special, or what did you say? Pleasant surprise. Okay, that'll just about do it. A quick episode goes now, what are we at? 42 and a half minutes. Longer with ads, of course. I've teased this upcoming episode a couple of times now. We are going to have 2 special guests, stories from the sideline, stuff that spans years. I'm talking middle of the dynasty to the end of the dynasty to more recently, stories from the sideline, what it's been like to be up close to these guys, which I told you from the locker room and from the podium and the coaches and conversation I've had off record. This is in the heat of battle. This is up close, tight games. How do they react? How do they act? What are you seeing down there that basically only teammates and coaches on that sideline would know, with the exception of the guys coming up next episode. So thank you for listening. Again, any mailbag questions, don't wait till Mondays. Fire them away for me, and I will get to them next week. Patriots are at the Broncos on Christmas Eve night. And I don't know if it's going to be a good one, but I know we're going to watch. So until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.